What's up, everybody, and welcome to my final Foundations set review video. This time we are covering all of the colorless and land cards left in the direct to constructed / direct to standard cards. We already did a whole series on all of the play booster cards that came out. Those are the ones you're going to be using in limited, so you're sealed and your draft. These cards are also coming out with Foundations, also going to be available for the next 5 years, but are not going to be in that draft or limited format. So it's still important to know them. What we're going to do is we're going to take a look at each one of them and see if we think it's going to end up in standard in any way. I might be completely wrong. If you think I'm wrong, leave a comment below. And if you're in the live chat, then, let me know as well. We've already had some really healthy conversation about a couple cards. People brought up some really good ideas. Some people reminded me it's already being used in standard competitive. It's fine. I'm probably going to be wrong from here and there. I want to know. I'm learning. I made this declaration this past summer, so summer of 2024, that I wanted to try to go pro in Magic the Gathering in the next 5 years and by qualifying for the Pro Tour. So this is part of my learning process, is researching these cards. So I'm learning these right alongside of everybody else, but at the same time, trying to be entertaining and bring you guys a little content, a little easy way to watch a quick video and see the cards that are coming up. So next, the first one that we have on our list is Goblin Firebomb. 1 colorless, it's an artifact, it has flash, and then you can pay 7, tap it, sacrifice this artifact, destroy target permanent. It is just way too slow. You might put it into a commander deck. You might be able to do some fun stuff. You need extra artifacts, but yeah, it's just going to be too slow, in my opinion. Next up is Expedition Map. It's 1 colorless. It's an artifact. You pay 2, tap it, sacrifice this artifact, search your library for a land card, reveal it, put it into your hand, and then shuffle. This is a maybe, like maybe in a domain deck. I would say plausible. It's going to go in the plausible / maybe category. Definitely has a place in commander decks, but we're not going to see it with any consistency, I think, in standard. So we're going to go with plausible. Next up is 3 Tree Mascots, 2 colorless, artifact, creature, shapeshifter, changeling, 1, add 1 mana, pay 1, add 1 mana of any color, activate only once each turn. It's a 2/1. So this was actually a fun card in draft in Bloomborough. I did like it there, so I don't think we're going to see it in standard play. It would be a fun commander card, especially in any tribe-based deck. But at the same time, like I said, it was a fun draft card. Like it was draftable, but I don't think we're going to see it in standard. And since it's not in the draft set, you're not going to draft this one. Next up is Pirate's Cutlass. Is a 3 colorless artifact equipment. When this equipment enters, attach it to target pirate you control. Equipped creature gets +2/+1, and the equip cost is 2. So this can, when it first comes in, equip directly to a pirate. Otherwise, it's pay 2, so it's a 5 cost to equip it to a non-pirate. So a non-tribal, it's just too limited. It's tribal. It'd be fun in tribal pirate deck if you came up with a pirate deck. But yeah, I think it's just going to be too limiting. Next up is Felden's Cane. It's 1 colorless artifact. Exile this artifact. Shuffle your graveyard into your library. I'd say plausible. Unlikely, but plausible. Soul Guide Lantern. So we see this in Modern. This was definitely a reprint. This is great. Graveyard hate. When this artifact enters, exile target card from your graveyard, from a graveyard, sacrifice this artifact, exile each opponent's graveyard, and then you also have pay 1, sacrifice this artifact, draw a card. So this is nice. Get out there. I can exile a card from a graveyard. So say I'm playing that white-blue recursion deck with the Aberrant Oculus and the Haughty Djinn. So I could play this, exile an Aberrant out of the graveyard, and then if they ever pitch anything else in there, I could sacrifice this and then blow up the whole graveyard. So that it could also just completely cripple a Haughty Djinn, who gets its strength from its power from the number of instants and sorceries in the graveyard. So I definitely think we're going to see this as a counterplay We might see a mix between like this and Ghost Vacuum for Graveyard Hate. So I definitely think we're going to see it. I mean, I play it, or I did play it in one version of my modern deck, so I don't see why we wouldn't play it in standard either. Diamond Mare is a 2 colorless artifact creature horse. As this creature enters, choose a color. Whenever you cast a spell of the chosen color, you gain 1 life. It's a 1/3. I doubt we're going to see it in standard. It's a fun little card to go in like a life gain deck. You might see somebody play it in a life gain deck that they're playing around in arena, but it's not going to be super competitive. Next up is Sorceress Spyglass. Is a 2 colorless artifact. As this artifact enters, look at an opponent's hand, then choose any card name. Activated abilities of sources with the chosen name can't be activated unless they're mana abilities. Activated abilities of sorcerers with chosen, like, this is a good counterplay. Like if you played this and they had a Glissas, if you played this and they had a Shieldrids, like it's any Planeswalker, you know, Aberrant Oculus, like all of those are activated abilities. So, or that's a triggered ability. That's not an activated ability. So triggered abilities are different than activated abilities. So it would shut off Planeswalkers. Wait, are triggered abilities different than activated abilities? Actually, I think that would work. This would, I definitely say we're going to see this one. This turns off a lot of cards, and I like it. So I think we're going to play. We're going to see it as a sideboard card for sure. Next up is Fire Shrieker 3 artifact equipment. Equipped creature has double strike, and then equip 2. And I don't think we're going to see this one. This is a fun commander card, but I don't think we're going to see it in standard. Hedron Archive is a 4 colorless artifact. You can tap it for 2 colorless, or you can pay 2, tap this, sacrifice this artifact, draw 2 cards. Definitely a commander card. Don't think we're going to see it in standard. Yeah, I just don't think we're going to see it in standard. Gate Colossus. Artifact creature construct for 8 colorless. It's an 8/8. This spell costs 1 less to cast for each gate you control. This creature can't be blocked by creatures with power 2 or less. Whenever a gate you control enters, you may put this card from your graveyard on top of your library. Again, I mentioned this earlier. I think I'm too new. I don't know what gates are. I haven't seen a gate card. So, you know, this is really just an 8/8 for 8. This creature can't be blocked by creatures with power 2 or less. So it's got to block with their big boys. I don't think we're going to see it in standard. Next up is Basilisk Collar. Is 1 colorless artifact equipment. Equipped creature has Death Touch and Lifelink, and then it's equipped to, I'd say plausible, doubtful, but plausible. It's cheap enough, and then it gives something Death Touch and Lifelink. Like, it just makes your fodder essentially removal. Just leave it up, block it, kill things, get a little bit of life. Like, plausible. Maze Mine Tomb, 2 colorless artifact. Put a page counter on this artifact by tapping it, and then you scry 1. Pay 2, tap it, put a page counter on this artifact, draw a card. When there are 4 or more page counters on this artifact, exile it. If you do, gain 4 life. I don't think we're going to see it in standard, but that's a fun, could go in a fun like life gain deck for commander. I like the border on this. It's like rivets. Is Cultivator's Caravan for 3 colorless artifact vehicle. Add 1 mana of any color, and it's a crew 3 of 5/5. I would say plausible. Plausible. We could see it in like a tribe deck, go wide, crew it. You got a 5/5. It can tap for any color, so it gives you some ramping. So I would say plausible. Adaptive Automaton is 3 colorless artifact creature construct. It's a 2/2. As this creature enters, choose a creature type. This creature is the chosen type in addition to its other types. Other creatures you control of the chosen type get +1/+1. If this goes into a tribal deck, like I said, elves might actually do something. You could make potentially an elf deck or a human deck that this would make sense in. So I would say plausible. Gilded Lotus, 5 colorless. Add 3 mana of any one color. Definitely a commander card. I don't think we're going to see it in standard, though. Steel Hellkite is a 6 mana, 5/5 flying. This creature gets +1 and +0 until end of the turn if you pay 2. And then if you pay X, destroy each non-land permanent with mana value X whose controller was dealt damage by this creature this turn. Activate only once each turn. This is interesting. So you can essentially make this as big as you want, smack an opponent, and then pay X and kill anything with X or below. Great commander card. I don't think we're going to see it in standard. It's already a commander card. It's been around. I know, I've seen this one. Pyromancer's Goggles, hanging out on Chandra's head, is a 5 colorless legendary artifact. You can tap it to add 1 red. When that mana is spent to cast a red instant or sorcery spell, copy that spell, and you may choose new targets for that copy. It's not fast enough. I would love to put something like this in like a burn deck, but you wouldn't be able to. Maybe if you made like a burn commander deck, that would be fun. But yeah, I don't think we're going to see it in standard. It's fun. I like the idea. Yeah, Goggles are goated in EDH. Yeah, for sure. I could see him be goated. Now it makes me want to make a burn commander deck. And see if I could do that. That would be funny. Next up is Ramos Dragon Engine. It's a 6 colorless legendary artifact creature dragon. It's a 4/4 with flying. Whenever you cast a spell, put +1/+1 counter on Ramos for each of that spell's colors. Remove 5 1/1 counters from Ramos. Add 2 white, 2 blue, 2 black, 2 red, 2 green. Activate only once each turn. This is an amazing commander card. This is fun, does a lot of stuff. I don't think you're going to see it in standard. Maybe in like the Domain Overlords deck, like it could do something, because every time you cast a card in Domain's Overlord, like it's going to come out as 5 colors. Well, not every time, but it could come out as 5 colors, and then you remove this and get a bunch of land. So like maybe plausible. I would put a very tentative plausible in some Domain decks. Next up is Darksteel Colossus. It is 11 colorless for an 11/11 trample indestructible. If Darksteel Colossus would be put into a graveyard from anywhere, reveal Darksteel Colossus and shuffle it into the owner's library instead. Great commander card. I don't think we're going to see it in standard though. And then that finishes the colorless. So now we are going to also do the lands. Lands are going to be a little quicker because we're going to have a series of tapped lands we'll go through. So obviously we're going to have the Boros Guildgate for us. Here is the red and white. We have the Dimir. Oh, so these are the gates. Okay, these are the gates. That makes sense. These are the gates. These are the gates that we're talking about. I had no idea. Okay, now that Colossus, where is he? This guy. 1 less to cast for each gate you control. So if the lands you control are gates, then you could get this for free if you had 8 of those. Duh. Never knew that. Okay. So you have your Boros Guildgate, you have your Dimir Guildgate, you have your Golgari Guildgate, you have your Gruul Guildgate, your Izzet Guildgate, your Orzhov Guildgate, your Rakdos Guildgate, your Selesnya Guildgate, your Simic Guildgate, your Azorius Guildgate, and that would complete all of your tap lands, your tap dual lands. And then we get into a couple special lands. We have Uncharted Haven. This land enters tapped. As it enters, choose a color, add 1 mana of any chosen color. Great for mana fixing. Demolition Field, great for mana destruction. There's a lot of these like creature lands, so being able to destroy those. It's already played in standard, so it's still a good add for counterplay to those creature lands. Cryptic Cave, you could tap it for 1 colorless or pay 1 and tap it, sacrifice this land, draw a card, activate only if you control 5 or more lands. I think this is interesting. Card draw if you need it, but I don't know if we're going to see a lot of play out of this one. Crawling Barrens, you can tap it for 1 colorless. You can pay 4, put 2 1/1 counters on this land, then you may have it become a 0/0 elemental creature until end of turn. It's still a land. So this is a land that could grow to any size, which is crazy. Pay 4, put the 2 1/1 counters on it. Do it again another turn if you have some extra mana to spend. And you could start getting this thing nice and big and swing with it. So we might see some play out of this one. And then now we get into all of our scry dual lands. So Temple of Triumph is going to be our red-white. Temple of Mystery is going to be our green-blue. Temple of Plenty is going to be our green-white. We have Temple of Silence, which is going to be our white-black. Temple of Enlightenment, which is going to be our white-blue. Temple of Epiphany, which is going to be our blue-red. Temple of Malady is going to be our black-green. Temple of Malice is our black-red. And then Temple of Abandon is our red-green. And then Temple of Deceit is our blue-black. And then we get to Maze's End, which I do believe is our final card. And this land enters tap. You can tap it to add a colorless. You could pay 3, tap it, return this land to its owner's hand, search your library for a gate card, put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle. You control 10 or more gates with different names. You win the game. Very interesting. Don't know. I mean, somebody could make a win con, like a combo deck or something like that, to try to put this. So I'd put a very light plausible. The fact it's not only as a sorcery, yeah, that's crazy too. And that, my friends, completes our journey through part 1 and part 2 of our Foundations set review, where we covered everything in the play boosters, and we covered everything in the direct to standard and direct to constructed cards. And with that, we have now finished our set review and first impressions of all standard legal cards that Foundations is going to bring us for the next 5 years. So I appreciate you hanging out with us, making it through this journey with us and all the way to the end. If you've made it this far, you might as well do the thing. Like, subscribe, leave a comment. It helps the algorithm, and it's the easiest and cheapest way you can help a content creator get his content out there and help grow his channel. And follow this guy along as he tries to live out his dream and become a pro Magic the Gathering player in the next 5 years. But until next time, we'll catch you all at the table.